this is how I met Sebastian. We met in his bar, and I was with my so-called best friend, who turned out to be not a big friend actually. And she took me to the different room where we were alone. She left me by the table, and I was picking my nose, and then it turned out there were cameras over there. And I also left the toilet dirty, and there was a camera on the toilet's door too. So I felt pretty much ashamed. And the second meeting, we didn't schedule like a date, but we met accidentally in another bar, maybe even a few years later, and I'm not sure what was the span of time that has gone by. But when we met, I actually had yet another shameful experience when I was sitting with my colleague who was a native speaker, and I was keeping too much fluid in my body, and I felt like peeing, and I was keeping it in my body. And once I finally went to the toilet, I farted like never before. So I had an impression that someone entered the toilet. It was a toilet for both male and female. So yet again, I felt very much ashamed, and actually I didn't know I could fart like that. And once we finally had our date, he was late. He didn't like his job supposedly, because at that time I didn't like my job, and he didn't say hi to my friend who was Jewish. She was a very cool and nice girl. Always protecting me when the bartender makes some jokes about me not being married or something like that. So actually he was a psychologist, and he couldn't do as much as engage in natural friendly contact with my friend. Um, Oh, and this is how the story ends. It ends with giving me an impression, and I was the one who destroyed it all. So because he wasn't so clear with meeting, not meeting, and so on, and it lasted way too long. Um, then I just met someone in the main square, someone very very similar to him, and when we were about to have a fling, we were kissing in front of my house, in front of my flat actually. And then I saw Sebastian parking his motorbike in front of my flat. So it was the middle of the night probably. We were after the party. So how come at the same time he was parking his motorbike in front of my flat? Right. But it's good. It's good because it was anyway finished. Yeah. And what I want to tell you here is that, when I went to Berlin and we went to a fancy club with my sister, like the very, very first time we tried to try out Berlin and the nightlife in Berlin. Like, what was it like? What would it be like to go and party there? And, the club was great. It was stunning. And I met a waiter whom I found attractive, and I think after an hour or 2 hours, like the entire space was filled with people. All of a sudden, after 2 hours, the entire space was totally empty, and we were the only ones in the club. I mean, it was more like a bar. And yet again, when I was alone in the room, I was picking my nose, and then my sister told me that you could see the recordings from the given night. If you want to see how was party going, then they always posted it online so that you could see yourself sitting, talking, or even dancing. So I could see myself probably picking my nose, and then I thought, okay, so the waiter probably saw me picking my nose, and probably a lot of other people too, but I didn't go to check the recording. And I had the same thing, um, when I was trying to become a salesperson who calls and tries to gain clients. Um, we had a training, and during that training, I liked the man who conducted the training, of course. And in the evening, we went out, all of us together. We went out, and yet again, I went to the bathroom, and a colleague who also was trained with me, Grzesiek, went to the bathroom when I did, and I was picking my nose, and the door to the bathroom was slightly adjacent. So later I was told by my trainee that, oh, you probably were sniffing something. And I'm like, no, 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 no. And then I thought, oh dear, he saw me picking my nose. Yeah. Okay, so it happened. I mean, it happened a lot of the times in my life. So my cousin would come to visit us, and she would see me through the window picking my nose. You remember Hedy family, and the girl who studied with me? She came to replace me at work. So she came to get the materials, the books. So her sister too saw me picking up my nose through the window. My flatmate in Holland, Paulina, when I was sharing the flat with 7 people, I think Paulina took a photo of me when I was picking my nose, and the phone itself took a photo of me when I was picking my nose too. I was just waiting at the bus stop for the bus. Nothing was coming, doing face gymnastic, and there you go. Horrible thing, indeed. But I hope you already see this repetitive circle, in that when it comes to intimacy, this behavior comes back. The same behavior. And with being seen, like, leaving the bathroom and thinking, okay, no one is gonna see me because I forgot my pants when I took a shower, and I thought I would just manage to run to the wardrobe without being seen. So when I ran to the wardrobe, I was seen by a boy 10 years younger than I was. And then he approached the second window, and he wanted to see me from the second window too, the second corner too. So I was like, oh dear. So it's not about really, it's not about excitement. It's about making you feel ashamed. And when I worked in Greece, I was sharing a room with my flatmate Imola, and then she slept with a boyfriend in the same room. And in the morning, when we woke up, I just had my pants on the side and my vagina was out, and I told about it Imola, and she's like, "Oh, I hope Mikhail was looking at mine." And then when I was studying graphic and design, we had swimming classes. My mother bought me 2 small swimsuits, and when I jumped to the pool, the entire swimsuit went on the side, and then again my vagina was out, and I felt a lot of shame. And when peeing in the forest, my boyfriend was, approaching me, and I yell at him, "I'm peeing," and he's like, "I don't see anything," and he's going right at me. Clergyman in Oasis. It was a religious oasis, a religious gathering for teenagers. Such an outing, such a trip for 7 days, 5 days. Lovely indeed. So, we had to conduct games, and one evening clergymen would do that. We had 9 of them, and the other day girls would do that. So when they thought up a game, they told us maybe 6 or 5 of us to wear skirts, and I had my period that day, and I was chosen to go first. So everyone was sitting in a circle, and I was asked to. They just blindfolded me, and I was asked to walk through the towel so that I don't touch the towel. That was easy, right? So I did it. They took off my shawl so that I could see, and then on the towel there was a clergyman. We called him Banana, and he was lying on a towel that I just went through with my period and with my skirt, and I was like, whew. And I sat on the chair a little bit shocked and trying to fathom how did that happen, that this is a religious event and these are clergymen and it's all allowed and it's all fine and nobody says anything, and there was a lot of things to and emotions to process and surprisement and shock and so on, because I was a teenager then. Yeah, so I think the period was the worst thing. Yeah, the worst thing. And I was thinking about it. How did it look like from the, from this perspective? How did it look like on the photo? Because for the moment, I believed they actually took a photo of my private parts. So let me just see the time. Yeah, so that was cool. That was cool. And then it turned out with the second gear that actually that clergyman just pretended to lay down and he didn't take any photos. Just when she walked through the towel without anybody on it, then he lied on the towel. Then they removed the blindfold, and then she saw as if he was there, but that wasn't true. So she ended up crying in the bathroom, and that was the end of the games. But I wanted. The reason why I tell you this is because it's about the same type of a shame that I experience. It's about my private parts being seen. Because my pants moved to the side twice, or because someone just pretended to take a photo. And then finally I sent my naked photos to a man who, in the process of, chatting and talking, told me that he was married. And he had a son. So I was like, well, oh, okay. So I'm telling you this because it repeats, and because I had no awareness. It was so much repetitive. And I had no awareness that I acted in the same way. And sometimes it was really like with the swim pool, not my fault. And with my friend's flatmate, it was not my fault. I was just sleeping. Yeah. And sure thing, there was more. My mother would open the door to the bathroom when I was just drying my body, and she kept staring. She didn't close the door immediately. I would say natural reaction is to slam the door and not to disturb and to say I'm sorry. She didn't. Or if it happened that I didn't close the door to the bathroom myself and she opened the entry door, she took some time before she would close the door. Just basically, okay. Or my brother-in-law took a photo of me when I kissed a boy in my brother's flat, and then he showed it to my brother, and then there was some tension in the air, like we didn't know how to, go about it. Okay, yeah, so yeah. Okay, I'm leaving you to this. I hope you see the repetitive pattern, and I hope you see some value in taking notes and looking at yourself. And I hope you are interested in Piglet. So I'm still sending free copies of Piglet, so drop me a line if you like it. Okay, so take care. Bye bye.